Historical fiction makes a promise unlike any other genre. It offers time travel with a return ticket. You get to disappear into another era completely, but you carry the comforting knowledge that human nature is still recognizable on the other side. Today, let's unpack how this genre really works and how you can write it well. Let's start with the most important idea. Historical fiction is a spectrum, not a single point. At one end sits strict accuracy. Here, real events and real figures sit at the center, and the historical record is a hard boundary you cannot cross. In the middle, you find historical-flavored fiction. Invented characters and plots are loosely anchored to a real period, and the writer takes far more narrative freedom. At the far edge sits alternate history, which deliberately diverges from what actually happened. Where you place yourself on that line matters enormously. It determines exactly how much your reader will forgive, and what they absolutely will not. So what does the reader truly want? Underneath everything is that contract of immersion. They want full immersion in a richly realized other era. But they also want reassurance that people back then thought, loved, and feared in ways we still recognize. Readers come for a specific pleasure. They want to watch one human-scaled life intersect with forces far too large for any single person to control. This is why historical fiction can tolerate so much period detail. Other genres might call it indulgent. Here it is welcome, as long as the human throughline never gets lost inside it. Now let's look at the hallmarks of the genre. First, the orienting detail. This is a piece of period texture that locates the reader without ever lecturing them. Second, the private life meeting the public moment. A character's personal stakes collide with documented history. Third, the reminder that the past wasn't safer. Period prejudice, danger, and constraint are rendered vividly, not softened for modern comfort. Fourth, the dramatic irony of distance. This is the gap between what characters know and what readers already know about how history turns out. Imagine a character making careful plans for the year 1914. The reader carries a quiet foreboding the character cannot share, and the prose never needs to announce it. Fifth, the reckoning with cost. A strong ending accounts for what the era actually took from the people who lived inside it. Historical fiction also breaks into many subgenres. War fiction uses conflict as the organizing force. Biographical fiction follows documented lives that demand accuracy at the load-bearing points. The family saga tracks historical change across generations. Domestic historical renders ordinary life within a vivid period, with no war or famous name required. Then there is historical romance, historical mystery, and alternate history, each with its own binding contract. Plot shapes tend to repeat too. There is the witness to history, an ordinary protagonist present at a pivotal moment. There is the generational saga, the survival account, the hidden life, and the return. Character arcs follow patterns as well. Some characters reach an accommodation that finally becomes unsustainable. Some outgrow the values of their era. Some must learn to live with what survival required of them. Some re-examine the choices of an ancestor and recontextualize an entire family story. Historical fiction also blends beautifully with other genres. Romance is a natural partner, and historical romance is one of publishing's largest hybrids. Crime and mystery fit well, since period limits on investigation become a structural feature, not a flaw. Literary fiction offers prestige-adjacent territory. Fantasy can inspire secondary worlds drawn from a real period. But there is also where the genre fights. Fantasy's freedom to invent runs directly against historical fiction's obligation to the record. So know which contract you are writing, because historical fantasy and fantasy with historical flavor are very different promises. Suspense can also fall flat. If the reader already knows the major outcome, you must relocate tension to a character-level result they cannot predict. Finally, let's talk about the first chapter. It carries real responsibility. Establish time and place through specific sensory detail, not a catalog list. Create conflict grounded in the period's actual realities, not modern concerns dressed in period clothing. Keep the voice flavored, not opaque, using period rhythm without sacrificing clarity. Introduce context organically, through experience and observation, never through raw exposition. And show the different and the universal at once, what has changed about the world and what has not changed about being human. This brings us to the most common pitfall. It is called tourist guide syndrome. This happens when characters notice and explain the ordinary furniture of their own era, as if it were strange to them too. A period character does not comment on their own period. They simply live in it. So here is one exercise to close on. Take your protagonist's accommodation to their era. In one sentence, name the true thing they manage daily to survive their world. In one sentence, name what that management costs them. And in one sentence, name the single event that finally makes managing it impossible. Answer those 3 questions, and your historical story already has a beating human heart.